Let's move on to the next guy. We're actually sticking in the AFC West. Let's talk about Mr. Let's Ride, Russell Wilson. Because I believe right now, if I had to pick a player that was going to win the NFL MVP, I'm going with Russell Wilson. I know you can look at all the players and you can say, oh, but Josh Allen, oh, but Justin Herbert, oh, obviously Brady, Rodgers, those guys are always going to be in the mix. I love Lamar Jackson. I really want him to win, MVP again. But Russell Wilson, I feel like this is the best situation he's ever had to win MVP. And when I talk about MVP, it's always about the narrative. What's the narrative? Oh, well, this guy had to overcome this setback. Russell Wilson's narrative is he's never won MVP. Every year, the national media tries to force it. The problem is, I've said this every single year. It's like Russell Wilson after week 6, everyone's like, oh, he's the MVP. He's the MVP. And every year, I did this, especially in, I believe it was 2020 when Aaron Rodgers ended up winning the MVP. I was like, Russell Wilson will not receive an MVP vote. Why? Because the Seahawks won't win enough games, and the team isn't good enough. That's exactly what happened. The team fell off, and Aaron Rodgers ended up stepping up. Now he's going to be winning games. He's got a great receiving core, and the narrative is going. Russell Wilson's going to have games where he's throwing 5 touchdowns. I think that's an absolute given. This offense is going to be explosive, and people love him. The media loves him. I know he's corny, but man, does that guy shine in every single big moment of his career. You put the lights on, he is the most fun. I hate watching him because I really don't like the Seahawks, but he is the most fun quarterback in the NFL to watch in primetime. And I love watching all those great quarterbacks, but man, Russell Wilson shines like nobody else in primetime. And those votes are going to stack up. The national media is going to be talking about him. And think about back to Peyton Manning. New situation, goes to Denver, puts up unbelievable numbers. I fully expect Russell Wilson, Russell Wilson's going to put up unbelievable numbers. I think he could be, 4,500 yards. He could throw for 40, 45 touchdowns. He could absolutely be in the top of the NFL in those stats, because look at what he does at the beginning of the year. It seems like every year for the Seahawks for the last few years. It's like, oh, Russell Wilson, 3 of the first 5 games, threw for 5 touchdowns. And then, unfortunately, the offensive line completely fell apart and they started losing. He's going to be in shootouts all the time, and he's going to outduel a lot of players. We've talked about the Broncos before. I think this team is super stacked. I think that they're going to win their division, and Russell Wilson's going to be the MVP. That's my MVP, take coming into the year. I think it's Russell Wilson. And his odds right now are at about 1,200 last I checked. So I think they're really good odds if you're going to bet on it. But that dude is going to, trust me, that guy is going to absolutely put up numbers.
Yeah, I'm there with you in terms of how he's going to put up numbers in terms of the touchdown category. But the problem is that Russell Wilson never really throws for many yards. I think some of that you can attribute to that the Seahawks just want to run the football a lot no matter what up until the last couple of years where he's thrown over 4,000. But looking at in terms of passing numbers, 2021 was his best year, and he threw for 4,200 yards. He just doesn't throw for a lot of yards. So I don't know if he's going to have the numbers. And I think that division is so tough where I think in terms of the narrative is he's taking over a team and they're stacked, but they haven't been playing well. And it's is Russell Wilson that guy? And then, of course, he's going to answer, yes, he's that guy. They're going to be super good. But I don't know if he's going to be able to put up the numbers because I still think they're going to be able to run the football a lot. I think they're going to get ahead in games early on. I think that he's going to be able to lean on Javonte in that run game because they have a much better O-line than he's had. He's still going to be able to take the deep shots. Defenses are going to have to, give a lot of respect and some. Their receiving core is good too. So it's tough in terms of their offense is so amazing, but I don't think the production's there in terms of his personal production. I think that in terms of actual performance, he's going to be up there, and I think that he should be higher up in I think he at the end of the year we're going to look back at it. We're going to go, damn, Russell Wilson was probably truly the MVP, but he didn't have the numbers to necessarily get it, or he didn't win enough games. You're muted.
Think about the perception that Russell Wilson's going to have, because again, like you brought up, to take over the team. This is going to be a guy that comes into a Broncos team, and I know the Broncos, they did end up winning 7 games last year, but they were terrible. They were not a good football team. They really struggled. Their quarterback play was terrible. Russell Wilson is going to come in, and all of a sudden, it's no longer going to be, oh man, the quarterback situation is just holding them back. It's Russell Wilson is what they added. The running backs are the same. The wide receivers are the same. The defense is basically the same. So it's Russell Wilson is the addition. They didn't make major additions. They lost players.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying like they didn't add players.
Okay, I get you.
Russell Wilson is the addition. He's going to take over this team, and they are going to be one of the scariest, if not the scariest team in the NFL to play this year. With one player joining them. And they, again, like you brought up, Von Miller leaving helps their argument because he's probably going to be really good Buffalo. You're like, man, they even lost Von Miller, and it's like, wow. But Russell Wilson, just had another 4-touchdown game. And it's like, yeah, but Javonte was running the ball. Yeah, well, Javonte was running the ball with Drew Lock, and they were still not winning. So it's like Russell Wilson is just going to go out there because it's just like his mentality is it's so weird because he's so corny. He's so weird. But, I mean, he's already got the hype. I know that, like, it's such a meme. The Broncos country, let's ride.
Yeah. It's hilarious.
It's already, like, I mean, that's going to be the MVP. Like, that's going to be the conversation is Russell Wilson, let's ride. MVP conversation right now. Like, that's what I feel like the media is going to bring that up.
No, I think that's all super fair. Like, I agree with all of that. And I think he's going to be really good. I think at the end of the day, when you look up, there's going to be, I see aces in here. So there's going to be a Justin Herbert that has a similar record, but has better numbers, even though like him personally isn't performing at like that level because Russell Wilson's in the perfect spot and he's in his prime. Like that's what we got to realize. He's still insanely good. I think that he kind of gets forgotten about the last few seasons he's had with like one of the just crappiest rosters in the league. So I agree in terms of performance, but I just don't think he's going to be able to, like when we look up, it's going to be like, all right, he threw for 4,500 yards. That's really like more than he's ever thrown. It's like 340 yards more than he's ever thrown.
Well, that's also an
extra game
of the season. So that's about, his best. But remember, it's national media voting. If it was fan voting, he's not winning.
No, I think that if it's fan voting, he might have more.
The national media loves Russell Wilson. They adore him. And they're going to look at it like, Justin Herbert's got a future. He can win MVP another year. For some reason, I think it's wrong.
Russell Wilson's year kind of deal?
Yeah. Like, I get it that it's wrong. But the way the national media, it always seems like they want to push a narrative.
Yeah.
Josh Allen and Justin Herbert, the media understands they're going to win one, right? They know
Allen
they're elite.
Okay, Allen could.
Allen absolutely could.
Herbert could. Honestly, both of them could.
Both of them could, but it's like they're so young.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be a situation where it's like, okay, all of them are, vying, they're all on some of the best teams, but like, come on, Broncos, Chargers, they get to play each other twice.
Mm-hmm.
Russell Wilson wins those games.
Well, he's going to be playing Mahomes. He's going to be playing against all those teams, and
he gets the proven opportunities.
Yeah, no, he definitely does. I think I can get a lot more behind it if they were to win the AFC West. But the problem is that the AFC West it's so hard to predict who's going to win because there's 4 really good teams in it. Like that doesn't really happen.
Yeah. I mean, I've already said, I think that I've already said multiple times, I think they're going to win the AFC West. So
I think it's too hard to predict. And I don't think it's like a bad take or anything. Like I think they're good enough, but I also think that you can easily make a case for the Chargers, Raiders, and Chiefs as well. And that's why I have such a hard time to see Russell Wilson. But I like the take. It's good. And I think it's a guy that probably he never gets like any love before. And then the first month of the season, the big storyline is going to be Russell Wilson winning MVP race. Like McConnell, we know it's going to happen in a month or two. So
it's Kyler and Russ at the beginning of the year, but Russ won't fall off. Like that's probably what's going to happen. Especially just because, again, like the way that he performs in these big games, it's so annoying because I always root against the Seahawks. He always just wins. It's like, dude, stop. And honestly, I legitimately feel the Broncos country let's ride. Even though it's so stupid, I think that's going to give him some sort of hashtag, some sort of way to promote it because it's like, again, it's so stupid. I hate saying it. Broncos country, let's ride. But that is the Russell Wilson coming in to Denver and saying, let's do this. And that was his introduction, was like, let's get it going. Let's do it. Let's win. That is going to, I believe, build that momentum where like the narrative is already started. Russell Wilson has come in here and the Broncos aren't hyped up nearly as much as the Chargers. Because like you look at expectations, right? Justin Herbert's expectation. I mean, people are expecting Herbert to throw for 5,000 yards and 45 touchdowns, it feels like. Like they're like, Justin Herbert's going to be the greatest football player of all time this year. It seems like people are expecting. If he isn't, it's going to be hard for him to win MVP. A lot of people are looking at Russ and they're like, yeah, Russ is really good. But I know people that are like, man, Russell Wilson, he's just not in his prime anymore, just hasn't been the same guy. And I see a lot of people saying that. Russell Wilson's going to come out and they're going to be like, wow. And he's going to have 4 or 5 stupid run around backwards, throw it off the back foot, first down plays to Sutton or Albert Okwuegbunam or Javonte Williams, whoever you want to say. The stupid Russell Wilson plays that we always get every year that always kill my night on primetime football. And everyone's going to be like, it's the same stuff that Mahomes does, right? Oh, man, that play was unbelievable. Russell Wilson is one of the few quarterbacks that gets that treatment. You see him throw off that back foot? Did you see that? I feel like Herbert doesn't get that as much as you would expect.
Well,
like they get Herbert played great.
Okay, but keep in mind this too. I think this is why Herbert has had a lot less moments on primetime TV. Like Mahomes has had the most primetime moments on TV as like a young quarterback as like anyone.
Yeah.
And that's probably why we're gonna start seeing more of that from the younger guys too.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's an interesting take. I don't know if it's hard to guess MVP, but I think there's a decent chance it happens.
Yeah, and I think especially at the odds, like if you're thinking about it and you're looking at this whole situation and you're saying, oh, who do you want to bet? Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, or Russell Wilson? Russell Wilson is like 3 times better odds, because they're sitting at like, I mean, maybe it's double. Maybe they're at like 600. Russell Wilson at 1,200 is like, why is he this far back? Like I think Aaron Rodgers is higher than him. I'm like, 3-peating? One, that's almost impossible to do in the NFL. The last person to do it, I guess, did play for the Green Bay Packers. The only person to ever do it played for the Green Bay Packers, Mr. Favre. But now people are going to think it's Favre. No, it's Brett Favre. I call him Favre. I don't care. But like his odds are unbelievable. So if you're a betting person, which I am, Russell Wilson's the guy to put your money on. If you want like, okay, this guy's very good. I put my money on Lamar, but I'm a Ravens fan. I wanted to see it. Russell Wilson's the best bet.